Yes, here we are again. Now, I'm gonna continue with the story. The story how my mother died. My mother died at the hospital because of a very, very sickly, jealous woman. This woman sneaked into my mother's ward in the hospital and poisoned her. The nurses at the hospital, they've seen the woman and they knew exactly who the woman was because she was a nurse before and she knew all the corners how to get into the hospital at night. She poisoned my mother, and my mother drank this drink that this woman brought to the hospital, and she died from this poisonous drink. This was so crazy. And the nurses, they could know exactly who this woman was. And then when they realized about that, my mother was kind of, vomiting. The whole night she was vomiting. And it was so suspicious to the nurses. They looked at everything and they saw this bottle next to her bed. And they saw that this bottle looked very, very, very funny, suspicious. And they took the bottle, they looked at it, and they've seen there is something in this bottle. That's when the doctors came and they checked out and they've really discovered that this drink had a poison in it. And this poison from a neighbor that knew my family. The woman, she was so rich. She had everything and we were a poor family. The jealousy was there because she had only 3 children and my grandparents had 6 children. And my mother had 3 girls. And this woman liked me also. And that was the problem because the jealousy was there. She wanted to have everything that my family had. And then my mother died because of this woman. I could not forgive this woman, but now I had to learn to forgive. So my mother was buried. While my mother was buried, before my mother was buried, they took us away from home to my father's house where we lived. It was a mistake that could ever happen, that we were not even allowed to be at the funeral, but I had to accept it. Those were the years that we children were not supposed to be at the funeral. So, few days later, I realized living with my father, it doesn't work. I was not relaxed. This man I was too scared of him. I had no contact with him. I was scared, scared. Sorry for the language, but I was scared of him. So I had a plan in my head. I looked the situation around and I looked at my 2 sisters and I told myself, I'm gonna pack our clothes, but very privately. I packed the clothes and put those clothes at the corner and my father didn't see this. And then, funny thing happened. I knew where my father was saving his money. He had the money, but he never supported us. But I knew the corner where the money was. I was wise enough. I knew exactly. He puts the money at that corner. So I went to literally steal 10 rands. 10 rands was about, I think, 2.57 US dollars, or in Swiss francs, 55, whatever you call it. Anyway, I stole that 10 rands and I managed to grab my 2 younger sisters. I carried one on my back and I took the middle one on my arm, and then the plastic bag, I took it with me. And I had a gut feeling that told me, Tina, move away from this house. I jumped the corner, and I jumped the fence, and I took a taxi, and then we drove straight to my mother. And then this taxi man asked me, hey, it's so dark. It's so dark, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to Orlando West to my grandparents. And he told me where. I said, in Orlando West, in Bakwa Street, that's where I live. I need to go there. This man drove us there, and I knocked on the door at 7:30, and it was dark. And my grandfather said, who is this? I said, grandfather, open the door. That's me, Albertina, Hillary, and Betty. We are here, grandfather. He opened up the door, and he said, my God, this time at night? Hey, what happened? I said, grandfather, we cannot stay there. We need to come back. We need your love because we don't have the love from our father. I cannot stay there. And my feelings told me, Tina, pack the bag and go to your grandparents. That's where I knew I will find love. I was looking for. And this love was there. And now, my story is going to be more interesting. Yes. Press the button, share and like, or subscribe. And next Friday, the story goes on. Stay on tune. Thank you. Love you.